This is the first time that a drug that showed promise in the laboratory actually crossed the bridge and demonstrated efficacy in the patient population for whom it's been tested. And so the trial that was reported today showed that looking at two important metrics of patient outcomes, number one, time to recovery, and number two, survival, the study, at least using the data that we have now, showed good results.
So in terms of the recovery, obviously we had said, it shortened the time to recovery, notably from 15 days to 11 in patients who were sick. But obviously you say it trends towards improving survival, right? Whether people actually live who wouldn't have lived otherwise. There is still an 8% mortality rate, I understand, from your study when the drug is administered. Dr. Fauci today, though, said, yeah, that's an improvement. It was 11% before, but he noted that that improvement is not statistically significant. And ultimately, that is what matters, right? Does this drug save lives? Do you have any concern about the results on that front?
No, I do not, because the results that were reported today really is a foretaste of the entire report. The final analysis is still a few weeks away, but what was reported is strong enough to say that at least the trend, although it did not reach statistical significance, it was still important. And the expectation is that when all the results come in, it hopefully will reach that metric.
So you're saying the expectation when there's more data that's coming in the next few weeks is that it will be a statistically significant improvement in terms of people living who would not otherwise have lived?
That is the expectation, of course, until the data come, the full results come in. We really cannot make definitive statements. But everything that we've seen so far gives a lot of optimism and hope that, in fact, that's what's going to happen.
Right. Well, obviously, that's the significant point, and you're looking at the data. So obviously, everyone is hoping that is what turns out. Another doctor working on the NIH study, Dr. Taiwo, said that Remdesivir is, I quote, not the end of the story. We can always do better. Do you think there is another drug that could be ready to use this fast that is out there?
Well, I don't know that we have something else that works exactly the way that Remdesivir works, which is as an antiviral that really we could make this sorts of statements about. But remember that COVID has two ways in which it can hurt someone. The first is by its viral activity, so just the virus making copies of itself. The other way is through the profound inflammation that it causes, that is really something that comes into effect much later in the course of the disease. So there are compounds that are being looked at to address that other component of the disease spectrum. So the antivirals like Remdesivir are one component. The other component are drugs to really mitigate the inflammation that the virus provokes. And I think at the end of the day, it's quite likely that combination of these kinds of different buckets of intervention is what we will really need to make a difference.